More grows in the garden than the gardener realizes he has sown. Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Mom left me with Grandpa while she and Grandma went to Sandy's baby shower. I had heard Mom on the phone talking to somebody about gifts and cake and ice cream, and I wanted to be there too, so I pled my case.
How come I can't go with you all? How come only women get to go?
7-year-old boys don't care much for rarely seen aunts twisting their cheeks and smothering them with ancient perfumes, but regardless, I wanted to be at the dessert table when it came time to eat.
Please, Mama, please.
No, Jack. You and your grandpa are going to plant corn while we're gone.
That's when Grandpa came from the hallway wearing his work clothes and a smile.
Give me just a minute to find my straw hat and we'll get started.
I looked behind me where Mom and Grandma were in the kitchen, talking about some of the gifts they knew Sandy would receive. I heard Grandma say,
"Oh, she'll be in fine shape. She's getting lots of baby clothes, a bunch of diapers. Penny got her the cutest little pair of shoes, and Joni bought her a crib. Michael volunteered to paint the baby's room pink."
After hearing all of that baby talk and thinking more about Aunt Florence twisting one cheek and kissing the other, the garden didn't seem like such a bad idea.
Oh, good. Here it is, Jack. Hey, grab a hoe and a bag of seeds from the tool shed and then take them out to the garden. Now I'm going to fill up a bucket of water and I'll meet you there.
Can we watch Speed Racer first?
No, not today. We've got work to do.
Grandpa never raised his voice, but seemed to always have the final word. My fate was sealed and my destination determined. I spent that late May 1977 afternoon in Grandpa's garden under a sunny eastern Tennessee sky. The tool shed was one of my favorite places to play when I was growing up. Many hours were spent there with a wild imagination and fascinated by the various tools hanging from the walls. There were power tools and boxes of nails and drill bits in the corners and hand saws on the sides. The tool shed was special to Grandpa, so I guess it was somehow inherently special to me. I grabbed what I knew was his favorite hoe. It was made of dirt-stained metal with blood and sweat forever a part of the wooden handle. I found the seeds on what he called the drafting table. I never actually saw him at the table, but that's where he kept a ruler, some paper, a handful of pencils, and some safety goggles. I grabbed the bag, labeled Thompson Sweet Yellow Corn, and went to the garden. Grandpa was already there, eating an apple in the shade of a nearby oak tree, awaiting my arrival.
Have a seat, Jack, and let me explain something before we get started, okay?
I put the hoe and bag of seeds on the ground, then sat on some thick grass by his side in the shade, where I was soon distracted by a ladybug.
Jack, today I'll show you what it takes to establish a healthy garden.
He took a moment to gauge my interest, then continued.
For our corn to grow tall and healthy, we need to nourish the seeds.
Grandpa was always fun to be around, especially when he had a story to tell.
Jack, whether or not these seeds turn into big old corn stalks depends on how we treat them today. Now, if we treat them right, they'll grow to be 6 or 7 feet tall someday.
Seeing I had no idea how tall 6 or 7 feet was, he stood and put his hand above his head.
One little seed can grow this tall. They can all get this tall. If we take care of them today, tomorrow, and through the summer, they'll help fill the supper table this fall.
Really?
Yes, really. And if you're ready to get started, I'll prove it.
Filled with unbridled 7-year-old excitement and energy, I jumped up and screamed.
Yeah!
Then I ran 2 laps around the yard like a puppy just turned loose in Central Park. As I saw it, Grandpa and I were about to perform a miracle, turning a single seed into a cornstalk taller than anyone I knew.
Okay, please grab the hoe. Now we got some work to do.
The soil had been turned earlier that morning when Tommy Haynes, a friend of the family, plowed the garden with his rusty old John Deere. The earth smelled fresh and rich in nutrients. It was dark and moist, thanks to the recent rainfall, and fun to play with.
Now, Jack, if you want to see these seeds turn into great big corn stalks, you'll need to pay attention. Now, come here, I've got a job for you.
I dropped the dirt and wiped my hands on my shirt and pants. Grandpa didn't say anything about this. I guess he figured that was between me, my mom, and the washing machine. Grandpa had a way of planting corn that was unique for our little neck of the woods. While everyone else planted their corn in rows, he planted his in blocks of 9. I learned a few years ago that planting 3 rows of 3 allows for better pollination. So it was 3 by 3 every time. Grandpa told me the holes should be about 15 inches apart and about 1.5 inches deep. Only 7 years old, I had no idea what he meant.
What?
He laughed and shook his head while grabbing the hoe to mark the spots that needed 1.5 inch holes. He dug one hole to show me how deep it should be, then gave me the hoe. I was anxious to get started, but wasn't quite sure how to hold it. Grandpa placed the hoe on my left side and positioned my hands with the grip.
There you go, Jack. Start digging. You're ready to go, buddy.
I chopped at the earth while Grandpa shared gardening tips and sipped iced tea in the shade.
Jack, I want you to remember something about gardening. Now, if you plant a seed too deep, it may not get enough water and definitely won't receive the sun's warmth.
My chops became pecks as I became aware of the dangers of planting a seed too deep.
Of course, if you plant the seed too shallow, either the wind will scatter them or birds are going to eat them. Birds love seeds, you know. Don't worry, though. You'll get the hang of it.
After another minute or so, I let go of the hoe.
I'm done.
Hey, real good job, Jack. Now put 2 seeds into each hole and cover them with dirt.
I did this as he gave more advice.
You know, there's something else that I want you to think about. The work you do today is going to grow into something that'll stay with you through winter. Now, I'm going to show you how to pick and shuck the corn in about 3 or 4 months.
How long is that?
I was too young to understand calendar time.
That's when it starts to get cold at night.
Satisfied with his answer, but still unsure, I opened the bag of seeds as Grandpa eased back into the lawn chair to sip some more iced tea, while the sun shined and bluebirds whistled.
Be sure not to pack the dirt too tight when you're filling up the holes. If you do, they might not make it to the surface.
Okay, Grandpa.
When the last hole was filled with seeds and dirt, I again wiped my hands on my shirt and pants.
Okay, I'm done.
Not yet, but almost. I'd bet if you were to put a little water on top, those seeds would really appreciate it. I took a long look at them first thing this morning, and they looked pretty thirsty.
He got down on his knees and put his hands together to scoop water from the bucket. Grandpa noticed I was studying his large, cracked, and wrinkled hands as he transferred water to the rich soil.
Jack, I can get enough water with 1 scoop. Now, you might want to give it 2 or 3 since your hands are a little smaller. I'll let you decide.
I probably had more fun watering the soil and seeds than anything else that day. I felt lucky to be in Grandpa's garden with dirty hands and clothes. It sure was better than being indoors with all those women and all that baby stuff.
Everything that lives needs water. Now, that goes for people, animals, and plants. Nothing can live without it.
That's all. Now I'm done.
Then I went running around the yard. After a couple of laps and a few random screams of joy, I returned to Grandpa out of breath, but happy. I remember how he leaned forward with that familiar smile and those sweet old eyes.
Come here, Jack. Let's talk for a while.
I sat on the same thick patch of grass in the shade, wondering what Grandpa wanted to talk about.
I know that it looks like you're done, but the truth is you've just begun. This is just the beginning.
I didn't know what he meant. As I saw it, the seeds were planted and watered, and all we had to do is wait till they grow up tall.
Jack, those seeds are going to grow and grow and grow. And starting today, we'll need to take care of them till the nights turn cold. Now, God will warm them with sunlight and nurture them with rain, but we're the ones that are responsible for keeping the garden clear of weeds. We can't let those weeds overtake the garden, because if they do, the corn's going to be very hard to reach. Briars and snakes and bugs are going to move in here and make the garden difficult to manage and really tough to walk through.
Grandpa held my undivided attention despite the nearby ladybug summoning a blade of grass.
Oh, and one more thing.
What is it, Grandpa?
If you put the seed bag and hoe back in the shed, I'm going to go inside to fix us up a couple of bowls of chocolate ice cream. Ooh, boy. Then we'll meet right back here and eat in the shade. How about that?
He said this while standing up, adjusting his hat.
Yeah!
I turned to grab the tools as the ladybug stretched her wings.